Greetings, Israel, Judah. It's your brother DFG. Hey, my brothers and sisters. I just wanted to take a little time today just to share maybe what I would consider, or maybe some of you would consider, a word of encouragement. I know there's a lot of stuff that many of us are going through right now in these days of evil and debauchery and just disillusionment. These days where, the fallen, for lack of a better way of describing it, has come, upon the scene, and now they're altering reality. And we talked about this many times before, and I'll say it again, with all of the BARD, B-A-R-D, ID, chat, GPT, and all of the so-called, artificial intelligence, which I'm saying to you personally, I don't believe there's anything artificial about it at all. I think the term artificial is put there as a throwaway statement or a distraction, so that all people began to look, at it as though it's an illusion versus a reality. But in all truth, something artificial, the very definition of artificial implies that it isn't real. And when you think about all the things that we're seeing, going on all over this flat earth, that is actually happening. Well, if it's happening or it's alive, it has the ability to influence, to persuade, to overtake, to replace. The sisters, brothers, is real. And in all of this, new reality, virtual reality, there many of us are sitting and trying to understand clearly, what does that mean for the future as it relates to Israel? And I will say this, more importantly, the elect of Israel. This is what I'll tell you, my brothers and sisters. What it simply means that time is running out. It's time for you to continue to prepare yourself for the wonders that are not going to be wonders. Probably a more appropriate word is to prepare yourself for the terrors, to come. But if you remember what we were told, by David in Psalms 91, that we should not be afraid of the terrors by night. And we don't have to be afraid by the terrors by night, because we have the ultimate light, the eternal light. And we are the children of that eternal light and his promise. The seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Israel, the bloodline ones, the true chosen of Most High. The elect, again, of that group. And we kind of talked a little bit about the elect just this past Wednesday night in our Wednesday night Bible study. And I would say to my brothers and sisters, I know you have a lot of stuff going. A lot of you guys are juggling a lot of balls. But I will tell you that, when you start juggling too many balls start to hit the ground. And when those balls hit the ground, sometimes they have harsh consequences. The balls I'm talking about, life balls. And if you expect for you to be able to overcome that ball that you dropped, then you had better have more than yourself to count on. You had better have more than man to count on. If you know the importance of getting through it. If you want to, better said, get through it. I used the term a moment ago, better. I said, let me not tell you what you better do. You do what you want to do. People do what they want to do all the time. But if you're wise, as many of our brothers and sisters profess to be, then clearly you would understand that if one of those balls drop and inside of that ball is something that you don't want to face, then you had better have a relationship with Yahuwah so that he can guide and help you through it. And surround you in addition with like-minded brothers and sisters who will be there for you, genuinely will be there for you in your times of trouble. And they're not going to look down on you. You're not going to become, tomorrow's gossip. Or matter of fact, tonight's gossip. What you're going to become is everyone's concern. And what those people, like-minded Israelites, are trained to do, because we follow Abba Yah's Torah, so we have a custom or culture. And in our culture, equity exists. Equity. And that equity reminds us how we treat our brothers and sisters, those who are obedient to Abba Yah's Torah. With clear instructions, clear guidelines. And one of the guidelines is that we don't mock one another. We don't laugh at one another's expense. We don't turn our back on those who need us, the widows, the widows among us, the motherless among us, the virgins among us, the young men, the children. What we do is collectively come together and we stand up and we fight on behalf of one another. And that's what this truth is about. And that's what this truth was hitting as well from Israel. The truth of Israel is that we are a nation, a strong nation, a solid nation. When we're all single-minded, working together with a culture, with laws, with commandments, with statutes, which includes judgment. When we are doing that, then everything that we study in our Torah, in Deuteronomy 28, 1 through 14, is what we look like to the eyes of men and what we represent, or what Abba Yah represents inside of us. When we work together collectively. And that's what you have when you come out of idolatry, self-centeredness. In our study, as I referenced a moment ago, we looked at the book of Enoch. And we saw in Enoch how Enoch was warning us. He said, this is the things I'm talking to you about. And this is Enoch chapter 1. He reminded us, hey, the things that I'm talking to you guys about right now, they're not to happen in this generation. He's talking about the generation for which he was sharing the information. He said, this is going to happen in an ancient generation, long time from this time. And then he went on, then he proceeded forward to tell us all of the things that would happen. So-called artificial intelligence, virtual reality, blue beam. All of those things were foretold to happen, believe it or not, brothers and sisters. And as you read through Enoch chapter 7, you'll see where these gods conspired together, fallen angels. And I did say gods, because there are many of them. But 18 in particular influenced 200 of them. And they conspired with each other to place a curse on themselves so they could come down and curse mankind. And how did that curse go? It went through sexual orgies. No other way to say it. And they used sexual debauchery to entice, others to do just like they did. The 18 got the 200 to follow them, and then they came down, and then they trained men to do likewise. I listed some of those, some of the gods that religion present, and I'll share that, y'all willing, in a moment. But one of those gods, or one of those behaviors, was what the Greek worship one of their gods called Aphrodite. And if you know anything about Aphrodite, it's a sexual lust god, and it's all about beauty or altering oneself to make yourself look so glamorous that no man can resist you. At least that's the intention. Gives them the power of seduction. And in that seduction, they're able to overcome whoever is seduced through their beauty, their sexuality, and then they make them slaves. And not the kind of slavery that we are associated with physical slavery. They make them spiritual slaves, emotional slaves. Brothers, how some of you have gotten into a relationship with women because of their beauty. And then you realize that inside that relationship that they had expectations of you that were beyond your means. And when you could not meet that expectations, you were rejected. And you couldn't get over it. And you went in deep states of depression. Some of you took upon murder spirits. Some of you took on suicidal spirits. Some of you took upon a spirit of jealousy. And I could go on. See, that's what they're able to do. That's the seduction. So when you hear seduction, my brother, I want you to clearly understand, when you're going into these arenas Are you allowing yourself to be tempted by sexual lust? Then understand clearly, when that spell is complete upon you, the day of rejection is going to come. Or the day of higher expectations are going to come. In other words, I'll give me more. I want more. I want more from you. I want more from you. And at some point, if you can't deliver the goods, then there's going to be a rejection. And inside that rejection, that spell could very likely cause you to become self-destructive. Now that was for one of my brothers out there, maybe many of my brothers out there. But when you allow lust, sexual lust, and beauty to be your reason for chasing or going after a woman, understand, that's the reward. Beauty is fleeting, as our book tells. There's no woman who's going to stay naturally beautiful for the entire course of her life. I know some people will look at Lena Horne and look at, some of these women. Okay, you're going to call out the one or two of millions. And even if those one or twos exist, what about all you other brothers who's not going to get a woman who's going to age like Ruby Dee or Lena Horne? Then what are you going to do? Or better yet, even to your sisters too. But what I'm saying to my brothers here in this particular moment, for you, just for you, it's a side piece, a real side piece of information, is that you should never allow sex or beauty to be the reason that you are with a woman. Barely talking about marrying up to one. You can, but understand there is a downside, and you had better be ready for it. Because if her objective is to use her body to seduce you, then you will be seduced, and I've already described you once she's done with you. And for the sorcerers out there, the seducers, Yah has a special place in hell for you too. So just remember that. Do you. Like you say, do yourself, do you. Have it your way. Do whatever you want to do. You're entitled to do that. But you will face, the consequences for it. And the consequences, the whole book tells us that when you use sorcery upon a man, it's called an abomination before Abba Yahuwah. Go read Deuteronomy chapter 18 for references. And it says that all of those who do abomination will be rejected of Abba Yah, and they will be destroyed. And they will, in the resurrection, when you die, sister, because you're going to die, young or old, fat or skinny, short, tall, pretty or ugly, whatever. That makeup they're going to put on you in that coffin, it's going to melt real fast when those worms start to take over your body. And then all of that beauty is going to turn to just liquid. And according to Isaiah 66:25, your worms or maggots or whatever, that's going to take over your flesh. Never going to die. So that's the consequence of seducing men with your physical self. Just saying. We're not talking about naturally beautiful people walking in love and harmony, one within herself, one who is of understanding of her natural self should bring to her whatever Yah wants for her naturally, which is always going to be a good thing. But because of the altered state, and we studied this in the study, so I'm still on the Bible study, believe it or not. Because of the altered state that were taught to men who taught the women how to alter themselves and then open the door for sorcery, idolatry, witchcraft, etc. And that's where we are now. And according to the book, according to what, Enoch was told, that in these last days, behavior like that would be commonplace. That would be the standard. That would be the preferred way. Women using their bodies to seduce men, and men constantly, destroying other men to be with those seducers and themselves as well. Why? Because they had no culture, they had no foundation, they had no truth up under them, and so the gods of this world overtook them. But of course, they don't know it's the gods of this world. They assume it's just them doing them. But these gods have power. Again, if you've been following with us in our studies, you would know they have power. You would have seen these gods come up against Yahuwah, the Almighty Creator, and competed. They lost, but they competed. They were able to perform all kind of miracles, all kind of magic. But there was a threshold for their magic. And that threshold was Abba Yahuwah's power that was coming from Abba Yah called Moses. And many of our brothers and sisters today, because they got that power, they have we were trained. The sorcerers, the fallen ones trained men, and many men did a good job of training our women. And now the demons have come back in the form of so-called AI, and now they're ruling the roost. Because we have become as soulless as their children were. Remember, we were warned. That's also in the book of Enoch. That those fallen ones would have children, and their children would be made of flesh, but they would lack melanin, and you would know who they are because you would be able to see the blood through their bodies, which would have made them almost translucent or pinkish because their skin lacked the melanin, and you would be able to see inside of them. And they would have a pinkish sort of color. But our blood, white. That's Enoch chapter 105. Read it for yourself. Start reading about verse 14. It tells you they would be fleshly or carnal bodies, but they would have no soul. And many now in Israel, 2/3 to be exact, are soulless now. They weren't born that way. You bloodline Israel, you have a soul, but you have sold it. They taught you how to sell it. Let me give you a quick little idea for some of my brothers. Well, Brother DFG, you may not be asking that question, but I'm just, let me ask that question for you. Tolerate it, okay? Look at Enoch. This is what selling of one's soul, this is more or less what is encouraged. This is the price of selling one's soul. This is what you get in exchange for it. In exchange for it. This is the book of Enoch. And again, we studied this on this past Wednesday night. We studied Enoch telling our people that in the last days, certain things would happen. And the way we know, because at the end of chapter 1, book of Enoch, he said that the people would be destroyed or overwhelmed, overran. Overran. Matter of fact, I'm going to use the exact words. He says, this is Enoch chapter 1, verse 5. Hammer and saw, please. Enoch chapter 1, verse 5. Verse 6. Verse 5. All shall be afraid of the watchers, and the watchers will be terrified. All shall be afraid, and the watchers will be terrified. Now, when we talk about all, it's talking about all of mankind would be afraid. But who are the watchers? Because he said they will be afraid too. The watchers. Who are the watchers? The fallen ones and their children who are amongst us. They're afraid too. Yeah, when you hear that little saying, when America catches a cold, the rest of the world gets pneumonia. See, the watchers are those who run things, those who are in control of things, wherever they are on this flat earth, their kind, or the similitude of their kind. And I have to say similitude of their kind, because when we say watchers, the first thing our people want to think is the European, as though the European is the only non-melanated beings on this earth. It's not true. You got Asians who lack melanin. You have South Americans who lack melanin. You have Australians with who lack melanin. In other words, they don't have any melanin in their skin. You have North Americans, north and south of the United States, Mexico, lack melanin. You have Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, few but some in the other Caribbean islands. And remember, when I say Asia, that's East India too. That's Southern Asia. That includes places like, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Turkey. All of that's Asia. Iran, Iraq. Just so we have some context here. Russia. They're here. And they are afraid as well. Then it goes on to say, verse 6, for great fear and trembling shall seize them. Seize means control their hearts. It would overtake them. It would overwhelm them. Even to the ends of the earth. And a ball don't have an end. So I think we can clearly understand when you're talking about the end of something. You run off the end of a platform, it's flat. Or the end off a cliff. It's not a ball. If it's a ball, you just go around it. But you were taught the other way, so it's okay, I guess. I'm talking about it was a globe. Yah says it's not. The lofty mountains shall be troubled. That means all their hiding places. The lofty mountains. Lofty is another word for what they would call things that people would see as valuable. Things they worked hard to get. Their lofty place. I guess another word would be like, their penthouses, their yachts. Lofty places. Their mansions. Lofty places. So that's not going to save you or save them. So if that's what you're chasing the wind. Or better said, you're pissing in the wind. You know what happens when you do that, right? But men, I'm sure you could tell. Okay. Hallelujah. Ooh. Hallelujah. And their exalted hills depressed, like melting. In their exalted hills are depressed, like melting a honeycomb in the fire. And the earth shall be immersed, and all the things in it shall perish, while judgment shall come upon all, even upon the righteousness. But to them, the righteous, he shall give peace. And he shall guard the elect, not everybody, the elect. He shall guard the elect. And that's when I was talking about Psalms 91. Do not be afraid of the terrors by night. For the elect, the Torah keepers of Abba Yahuwah. Those who keep Abba Yah's Torah. Those who worship and one sovereign Abba Yah Yahuwah. They don't have any other anointed ones. They have no others who died for their sins. They are sovereign people serving a sovereign Elohim, creator, or Eloah, Alua, Yahuwah. Those who are being identified here, who are going to miss the fire, who are going to miss the flame, when the lawful mountains become troubled, this earth and all the things that's going to come here, those people, all of those who participate in all of those things, they've got a problem on their hands. They know it. That's why they're so weary and so leery and wondering about your currency and what they're going to do for money and food and water and supplies and the dollar and all of these things. That's why they're threatening each other all over the place with, with nuclear annihilation. Because they're all fighting for the crumbs. But they don't realize even the crumbs are not going to be enough to save them. But the elect, back to you, to us, Yah has a plan for us. But that plan is not given to you just because you bloodline Israel. No, you have to be obedient, Israel. And we're going to get there in a moment. But you have to show a dedication, a submission, a love. You have to walk with an integrity amongst your brethren. Keep your word, do what you say. You have to have a charitable heart, a heart to give, to help, to support. Because all of your loftiness, I'm going to save up for this and I'm going to get that, doesn't mean a damn thing if you're not using it towards Abba Yah's kingdom. His people. The apple of his eye. Let me say that the right way. If you're not using it according to Abba Yah's purpose, you're putting money in bags with holes in it. Yeah, you'll feel good about yourself when you go look at your bank statement. But then when you realize that bank statement is not going to stop that fire or the terror that's going to come to you by night, you're going to realize real quick that you have been more than happy to turn you away from that bank statement and focus on Yahuwah. And understand that whatever he places in your hand has a purpose, and that purpose is greater than you. And that's for everyone who call themselves the elect. Now, if you're not a part of the elect, then this doesn't apply to you. Save your money. Hold on to your money. Invest your money. Build a bigger house. Get you a bigger car. Get you 2 more cars. Get whatever you want. Make yourself happy now. Because this is the best you're going to get. But see, to the elect, he said, towards them he's going to exercise clemency. Clemency. I mean, he's going to be kind to us in the times of trouble. He's not going to punish us at the level that he's going to punish them. Will we see signs of trouble? Absolutely yes. We will be here when all of this shit hits the fan. But we will be together as a nation of people, maybe little groups here and there, but we will be together. Ultimately, all of us will be together. There will be no outliers. No, you know what I'm saying? No algorithms, doing your own thing. There'll be people doing their own thing, but they won't be a part of the elect. That's not written in the book. I'll show you in a moment. Stay here. Verse 7 again, still chapter 1. But unto them shall he give peace, and he shall guard the elect, protect the elect. Towards them will he give us clemency. And if you don't know what clemency is, just look the word up. Okay? Clemency means that whenever you were deserving to get something or some type of maybe punishment or some type of, maybe a better word would be penalty, and they remove that penalty, that's clemency. Otherwise, he's going to relieve you from what you owe. Sort of what they claim, wicked ass Jesus did for them, which is a lie. Died for their sins, I'm talking about. That was their clemency. Yet they still sinning like crazy. And there's no sign of Jesus doing anything in their lives. Or Yahushua, whatever the new name is, Zeus. That's what he used to be called. The king of the gods, the king of kings, as they say. The Prince of Peace. Go look up Zeus. One of 12 Greek gods. With brothers and sisters, I might add. As Jesus had. 12 of them. We don't need to get into that story, do we? Verse 8. Then shall all belong to Yahuwah. Then shall all who belong to Yahuwah be happy and blessed, and the splendor of Yahuwah shall illuminate them. The splendor of Yahuwah will illuminate us. We're going to shine. And that's how we know this is an end-day prophecy when that fire comes. Because we're going to get clemency, the elect, and we're going to shine. There will be no more sadness, no more suffering, none of those things. Those things will be done away with because we got clemency. And how did we get that clemency? By being obedient. But one of the things that he taught them, back to the seducers, what it looks like, what you're selling, what are the tools they use to drive one to sell their souls? This is what their astra poles, their altars, and those type of things, all that stuff that you'll find in the homes of many of these people. And they'll tell you it's an altar to Abba Yahuwah. Because they've read in here what we did when Abba Yah worked with different men, including the man we're going to be talking about, Gideon. After Abba Yah gave him instruction and did some things, then he offered up a sacrifice to Abba Yah. He understood that with every direction, every blessing, there was a time for giving. I was talking to one of my brothers on yesterday, and he was saying how that, he receives a blessing. But I'm going to tell you something about the brother. The brother is he's a big time giver. So it didn't shock me at all when he called me and told me Yah had blessed him. Because that's the way Abba Yah's work. And it's in anything that you do. But see, when your heart is right, you don't struggle with that. Because it teaches us to be selfless, not selfish. We're not worried about building lofty anything here. Yeah, forts so that we can hunker down and weather the storm to come. Yeah, we do that. But nothing lofty about that. That's insulated, well guarded, hopefully stocked properly, and being ready for war. But back to, how do the seducers operate? How do they work? It says Aziel. This is one of the 18 fallen watchers whose children are here among us, who slept with women. And now look what Aziel did. He taught men, the same men that Enoch talked about earlier in chapter 1, who would be fearful or afraid of what's coming. Right along with their kind. See, their kind and our kind pretty much walk together here on this earth. Some of ours have married into their kind, and Abba Yah called it an abomination. And forewarned us not to do it. And had we been in the Torah, we would have understood that. And if you're in the Torah, you would have come out of that. Talking about you break off that covenant. And you don't let these lying devils tell you that, if you make a covenant before man, you got to honor that covenant. But these are the same people who preach against homosexuality. But yet in this country, America, a man can marry a man. A woman can marry a woman. So these same people will tell you that homosexuality is an abomination. And when homosexuals marry, that they shouldn't be married. They should have that marriage, destroyed, annulled, but yet they haven't annulled theirs. And if you go and look into the book, Jubilees 30 and 11 says it's an abomination. And then for our people to be marrying up with the watchers or the heathens. And then it goes right over there in the book of Leviticus 18 and 22 and says that if a man marries another man, that means male or female, that's also an abomination. So they'll turn out that they're not an abomination if they're in an abominable covenant. They won't call that out, but they will call out if two men are married or two women are married. You know what that makes them? Hypocrites. Makes them self-righteous judges of men. And they will have no place in Abba Yah's kingdom to come. No liars, no self-righteous justifiers are going to get in. If Abba Yah calls it an abomination, it is what it is, and doesn't matter what anyone thinks, including you or me. His word is written, established forever in the heavens. And you're not going to get before him talking about, but you need to understand. He's going to tell you, no, I don't need to understand. First of all, you're not going to have that conversation. You're going to wake up, you're going to hear the words, depart from me. You're contemptible. Daniel chapter 2 tells you that. Daniel chapter 12, verse 2. Shame, shame, shame. Get away from me, you shameful one. You did it your way. You wanted to have it your way. Now you're going to see what happens when I do it my way. You have no say in this. You had a chance to have your say, and you brushed it off, or you justified, you rationalized it. Oh, matter of fact, you lied on me and told my brothers, my children, that it was okay for you to do it because the heathens told you it was okay for you to do it. And you told my people that I respect heathen covenants. When I destroy heathens, when I hate heathens, when I told you not to follow the customs of the heathens because their customs were vain. Vain means I don't respect their customs. But you told my people I did. And this is happening all over the place with many things going on. I just use that one because it's kind of what Enoch chapter 7 is all about. That kind of, marrying with the watchers and corrupting or altering the earth as it says today. And they're pushing that stuff big time to their media. Big time. I had a moment of, I don't even know what to call it, just a moment of, I guess, aloofness for back of a little. I think I just needed to rest my brain. And I made that huge mistake that I sometimes make. And that is turning on Netflix. And I called and said, well, let me just watch this little thing that says 65. It's supposed to be about prehistoric days. And I'm like, okay, well, what harm can be watching something about dinosaurs? Of course, they started their evolution lies in that thing, denying Abba Yahuwah, claiming that we came from some aliens. That's the way it was going. Couldn't take much of that. But as soon as it came on, you know what they were pushing? Heathen relationship. I won't even tell you what it is. You go look and see what it is yourself if you're interested. It's a waste of good time, though. But the thing wasn't on 1 minute, and they were pushing heathen, abominable relationships, according to what Abba Yah says is an abomination. Because they have an agenda. Because there was no need for that. But they put it in there anyway. Because they think they can have it their way, because they know who we are, and they know in order for them to delay the judgment to come, this fear that we talked about a moment ago, in order to do that, they know they have to alter things. They have to alter, change things, make something unnatural natural, and make something natural unnatural. So take Abba Yah's covenants and say that's not important, they're done away, and then give you a new covenant. Isn't that what Jesus told them? Gives you a new covenant, says you can do whatever you want to do, and everybody is included in this orgy of ours now. And just do whatever you want to do, because after all, Jesus died for that. And only Jesus can judge me. Because Jesus became their savior, their mediator, their altar, their petitioner. Now, you ain't going to find that in the book. No, you ain't going to find that in the Torah, in the Tanakh. You'll find that over there in the New Twistament, as Brother Blackman calls it. The New Twistament. How they twisted the word. You'll find it over there. But you're not going to find it over here. And Yah is not the author of confusion. He's not a man that he should lie, or the son of man that he should repent for telling such big lies. But look here. Let me come back to this. Verse 8. This is how seduction, and this is how they altered the earth. One of the fallen ones, one of the watchers taught men to make swords, knives, shields, breastplates. Now, that's all your weapons of war. Especially the latest technology. Remember, this is end stuff. So this stuff would have already been here, but we would not have known about it. In addition to that, the fabrication of mirrors And a mirror will be anything that causes you to be able, I guess, to see a reflection of man, to see themselves, so that they could, beautify themselves, for lack of a better word. Alter themselves. Now, I'm not saying because you look in the mirror, you're altering yourself. But I'm telling you, the origins of it came from that. That was the intent of it. Give me a mirror so I can see how glamorous I'm going to be. Taught men who taught women. The workmanship of bracelets, ornaments, the use of paint, which is another word, for makeup. The beautifying of the eyebrows, that's arching the eyebrows, plucking your eyebrows, painting, your eyebrows, with the eyebrow pencils. Now, this stones of every valuable and elect kind, that's all of your so-called jewelry. Dyes, like hair dyes. That's why you see all people with purple hair and blonde hair and blue hair and green hair. So that the world became altered. Altered reality. In other words, what you see is not what it actually is. It's been changed. Altered. And by the way, the Roman gods were part of that. So all these religions that came out of Rome, and they all did. I don't care if it's Hinduism, Judaism, Islam. Right out of there. I think I said Buddhism, Christianity. Right from those 12 gods. Well, you take that, and I did a quick little research. Look, check this out, brothers and sisters. And then we're going to get over to the book of Judges. We're going there. If you're here for educational purposes, right? You're here for fellowship, right? You're here to increase your understanding. And the one thing you're not here for, let me make myself clear. One of the things you don't have to come to this channel for is to agree with me. You don't have to agree with me. So don't feel threatened. You don't think you have to change. Don't think that I'm competing with you or your pastor or whomever it is you serve or promote. I'm here as a watchman or servant of Abba Yahuwah to bring the truth to Israel as he brings it to me through his Tanakh, and my heart to serve, my heart to study, my heart to research, and my heart to sacrifice. And that is to give of myself. And if you got a problem with any of that, then don't come back to the channel. But check this out, brothers and sisters. These are the 12 Greek gods. Zeus, who's the king of kings. Some call him Jesus, Jesus, Yahushua now, of course, to cover it up. They got to alter it. Then he was the king of kings, or the king of the gods. Then you had Hera, the goddess of marriage, God who was known for her jealousy and her envious or vengeful nature. She was a jealous woman and very vengeful. Now you tell me that demon didn't make its rounds and still making its rounds all over this earth. But it's real. They told you it wasn't. Oh, this is mythology. This is not real. No, brothers and sisters, it's real. They're real. And yes, they do have power. They don't have all power, but they do have the power to seduce men. As we just saw, they were taught. Because if you go a little bit farther in 8, you're going to see where it taught, and I guess I should have went there while I was in Enoch. And forgive me, brothers and sisters, but I think it's important. So I'm going to go here. I might as well go back over here. Look at it. When you get past, still in chapter 8, the book of Enoch, it goes to verse 3. It says, and Amazarah taught all sorcery and all pharmaceutical, drugs, the dividers of roots, how to use drugs and stuff to alter your mind, painkillers, things of that nature. This called ecstasy, things that cause you to be disillusioned. Opioids, anything that alters your mind, alcohol included. Alcohol is not wrong, but drinking the wrong kind of alcohol, too much of it, can kill you and destroy you. And, of course, allow you to be demon-possessed. Then you had armorers, the solution of sorcery. Barakayal, the observer of the stars. Ambiel, signs, signs like horoscope signs. When people, what's your sign? Or they'll tell you, or looking at the stars for the time. But horoscopes. When people start coming to me, what's your sign? If you're Israelite elect, you need to let them know, I don't do that. Now, if you want to know what day that I was born, I was born on this particular day, on this particular month, according to the Julian calendar. But no, I don't do signs. I know exactly what you're talking about, and I know that people born in certain signs have certain behaviors because it's a goddess or God of earth type of thing. It's a spiritual thing. I get it. But I don't participate in that anymore. I'm not controlled by that anymore. That's why I came into the Torah, because it broke that spell over me. So now I'm no longer like the other sheaves and wolves. Sheaves who are being eaten by wolves, who are allowing science to determine their daily decisions. Because after all, that's what the Taurists do. I'm only compatible to Pisces, a Sagittarius, whatever it is. And a lot of people live their life based around that. All sorcery, all real, but none of it is Abba Yahuwah. It's all idolatry. But let's go on. And Tamil taught the astrology. And Azrael taught the motion of the moon. It's interesting how they want to tell us the moon is stationary and the earth is supposed to be revolving, but this says the motion of the moon. And your eyes tell you the moon is moving, but you don't believe with your eyes. You believe what men say. But that's why you should be over here being taught versus being over there being told. That's why many of them don't want to deal with the book of Enoch, because the book of Enoch exposes their lies. So they'll just tell you, oh, that's crazy. That ain't no real book. That's not the real book. Yeah, and you're not the real you. That makes sense to us. You're altered. In many cases, mentally altered. Nice little words to say your ass is batshit crazy. Verse 9, and men being destroyed cried out with their voice, and they reached out to heaven. So I'm just letting you know, brothers and sisters, that these so-called Greek gods that they want to make you believe aren't real. They are real. They have real power. They wouldn't be worshiping them if they didn't. They wouldn't pray to them if they did. So you have Zeus. Then you had Herna. She is the goddess of marriage, heathen marriage. That's full of jealousy and vengeful in nature. That's why when they get a divorce, they want to kill each other. Some of them. Then you had Poseidon. That was their god of storms and earthquakes or hurricanes, tsunamis, things of that nature. That's why a lot of people were talking about the transatlantic slave coast from Africa, the west coast of Africa, through the islands to America. A lot of people believe that was Abba Yah's vengeance for the slave trade. And where there may be a measure of truth there, just remember the slave trade didn't just come to America. It went to South America as well. And then some of the trade was going inland trading. They were slave trading inside of the continent, moving up, north, all over the place. You had your Arab slave trade, and then later on the Europeans. Just something to reference. But that is a god behind that, Poseidon. Then you had Demeter, the goddess of the harvest. That's why they be the harvest moon and all this kind of stuff they be getting into. The blood moons and all of that. Just so you know, brothers and sisters. Oh yeah, they'll find something in the book and twist it, but you should say, where are the precepts? Give me precepts, line upon line. Here a little, there a little. I need some witnesses here. See, most time we don't act. We just see one thing and we stop right there, and they know you're gonna stop right there. Or they start doing like the Geno Jennings of the world and just totally twist it. Totally take it out of context, and they don't even give you a precept, they just give you theology from their again, what the brother said, from their cemetery school. No, it's a sister who calls it the cemetery school. They call it seminary school. They just started giving you, see, they teach them in their cemetery school how to talk to the dead. Those who are idol worshipers. And it's how people get caught up in all of this idolatry. And they use clever, teachers, master musicians, who know how to alter things. And they know that our people are not prone to study and are easily, influenced with clever words, exciting words, musical words, words that go with music. Sing me a song and I'll do whatever you want me to do. Those kind of people. Our church choir is the bomb, even though it's full of homosexuals, pedophiles, and you name it. But that's okay because they can sing good. And I go to church because I like to hear them sing. They put me in the spirit. They don't put you in the spirit. They just bring out that spirit that's already been there. That spirit that causes you to do everything other than what Abba Yah's Torah commands you to do. That's, again, these are not the elect that fit the description I'm talking about, by the way. Let me be clear here. 1/3, you. He's giving us clemency because we're going to keep his Torah. And we're not serving these gods. So I just wanted for clarity purpose. I don't want my brothers and sisters to think I'm coming at you. No, I'm not. I'm letting you know you should be very grateful that Abba Yah allowed you to be separated in this evil time now where you don't even, pretty soon, you ain't going to know a girl from a boy, what's real or from what's not real. Brothers and sisters, this is already here. That's why Isaiah said they got eyes to see but can't see, or ears to hear but can't hear. Because they saying that people, you're not going to be looking at somebody, dealing with somebody, and you're going to have no idea what it is you're dealing with. That's why those people on those planes were hooping and hollering and running off the plane, because when they were talking about that thing was not a man. Even though when I sat down to it, it was a man. Then I looked again, it was a serpent, and then it turned right back into a man. And again, if you were studying the Torah, and important books like Jasher, you would already know that's a possibility. It's all that stuff been going on, but now it's going to be more pronounced in the earth. Pronounced means you're going to see it. It's going to become the norm versus the abnorm. In time past, it was abnormal. As a matter of fact, when our people saw things, they put them in insane asylums. They put them in mental hospitals because many times they thought something was wrong with their minds, and possibly nothing was wrong with their minds. They were just seeing beyond what meant normal people could see. They could see the spiritual world. And they would be talking to those spirits, and people thought they were talking to themselves. And I've been around people who supposedly struggled mentally. And I've had very, very clear conversations with them. And you know what I found out about them? They were not crazy, as the world called them. They just saw things differently, and they saw things that others could not see. And they didn't know how to deal with all of that. And so they became overwhelmed with it. And then society labeled them and then put drugs in them, the roots again, put drugs in their bodies to be able to blind them from the truth. And then those drugs seduced them and made them human walking zombies. Not flesh-eating zombies, but zombies all the same. That's what the drugs were able to do. The new drug, trunk, or whatever they call it, is already doing it. Trunk. Again. But we misdiagnose a lot of things with people because we let the so-called professionals of the skill, the scholars tell us, instead of going out and learning on our own. And if you build a relationship with Abba Yahuwah through his Torah, through his obedience, he would reveal these truths to any and all of us. That's why we're the elect, because we see the truth. And we're able to come out of that deep darkness that so many of our people are not going to come out of it. No matter what you tell them, they are not changing. So I'm not saying don't tell them. I'm just telling you don't expect them to change. And if you're one of them and you're listening to me, you know I'm right. Tell the truth. You know you're not going to change. You're just being entertained right now. You're a little bored, found the channel, you stopped to listen in. Or you're a witch and you're trying to cast spells, but it's just going to fall back on you. Male or female witch, whomever or whatever you are. But you're not going to stop this work. Yah will stop it when he's ready for it to be stopped. Sorry. But I'm not sorry at all. But you'll be terrified in your day. It's coming. I told you about it a moment ago. You heard it. You probably already knew that, though. Let's go on. Then you had the goddess of the harvest. I just said that you got Apollo, who is the god of music and dancing. And it's not good, clean music I'm talking about. I'm talking about it's the debauchery. It's the kind of music you see now, with some of these so-called entertainers. And I call so-called, and I shouldn't call them these demons in human bodies, in their music and their dance. Watch them. Some of them are shape-shifting right on stage. Whether it be the little nasty Nas X to the queen whore, Beyonce. And all who fall between, around, over, under. That whole group. And everyone who's sitting in that audience out there, bowing down, Baal worshiping them. Moving and bouncing with them. Lighting candles, chanting with them. Sing along with me, chanting. Come on, sing this verse, chanting. Come on, I know y'all can do it, chanting. Got the whole audience chanting. That's what that's called, by the way. Enchantment means that you're working with a charmer who's got you chanting their words. And most of our people have no idea of what's written inside those words or what those words are intended to mean and what they can do to the person who's singing those words. Like someone said recently, they went to a turtle, good name for her, but cause she's a dumbass. But Taylor Swift concert, and immediately after the concert, people were asking her what she thought about the concert, and she couldn't remember any of it. She said, I don't even remember what happened in there. And she was in there for almost 2.5 hours. Could not remember anything because a spell had gotten cast upon her. She got caught up in the spell worship, in the chanting. That's what happens at concert. Like everybody's moving the camera, everybody's moving this from this, you know what I'm saying? Look at them. And then go back and think about Baal worshipers. Go look at old documents, read up on things and tell how did Baal work around the altar? How did they get them to give up their children, to put their children in the fire? The people got seduced. They started beating drums and started humming and chanting and got all lathered up and sweated up and started getting wild and cutting themselves and crying out loud and falling and wilding out and doing every kind of thing and then throwing their babies right on into the fire for the harvest to come. They wanted to be blessed. They wanted to have a good old time while they were being blessed. Oh, it's going to be a hot mess. This is let's go on. I'm talking about the consequences of this. Well, it's fire. I guess that's hot enough, right? That was Apollo. Then Artemis, the goddess of wild animals, shapeshifter. And they telling you shapeshifting ain't real. Shapeshifting, people altering themselves, some naturally, some supernaturally. But both are altering themselves. If you notice now, most of our sisters and brothers don't even feel good about themselves if they can alter themselves some kind of way. Even the brothers are getting weaves. Getting their hair spread down and getting their hair sewed onto their head and getting their little baby bangs. I'm talking about you brothers, don't give a shit if your ass like it or not. You are some sucker kind of man if you got baby bangs in your head. You know what I'm talking about? Where you got your little flat top, and right in front of you got this little hair laying down on your forehead like the ladies normally have. Seriously, dude? That's masculine, right? I guess next you'll have your purse, your bonnet, your Crocs, your handbag, your dress, your thongs. Sure, it's coming. You just haven't painted your nails yet. Oh, I'm sorry, Drake. Yes, you did. Hallelujah. Next is Hephaestus, which is the goddess of fire. Interesting. A couple of years ago, Australia with those fires. This year, supposedly Canada with its fires and this smog or smoke traveling half of around the country, half of the United States. And now all of a sudden they're telling people because it's excessive heat that they're having all kind of respiratory issues. But they didn't tell us what's in that smoke. And what that smoke is doing to the water, what that smoke is doing to the trees, to your vegetation, for all you organic out here. I'm growing my own food. Okay, I got it. Where you growing it at? It's outside. Where's it getting this water source from? How is the heat coming? Is anything screening what's in the air on it? Because if they have it their way, you're not going. That way is not going to work either. Now, Yah has a way. Don't get me wrong. Yah can put that ring of fire around us and covering over us and teach us how to grow it in ways that no way they can contaminate it. Although they will try, and they are trying. But the goddess of fire, Athena, the goddess of wisdom, war, and handicraft, which is another way of saying witchcraft. Then you have Ares, the god of war, slaughter, brutality. That's the Western gods. You know that eagle that you see on their flags? That's their god. Just so you know. Every country that's got an eagle or a bird or a predator bird on there, they're worshiping Ares. That's really their god. And for all of you who's saluting that and patriotic to that flag or whatever it is or to your country, then just so you know, that's who your country is patriotic to and who your country serves. And you're blindly going right along with it because it makes you feel good about yourself. How interesting. I'm proud to be an American. At least I know I'm free. Yeah, right. The land of the enslavers. There are more people incarcerated in America than any other place on this flat earth. The so-called free America. Do you know that one out of every 4 enslaved people in the free country? This is the freest place on the earth, right? But 1 out of every 4 slaves is in America. But America is free. You see how they can alter the way people think, brothers and sisters? So 25% of the world's prisoners, which means you're a slave, are in America. 25% of the world's prisoners are in America. This land of the free, the land of the brave. 1 out of 4 prisoners are enslaved people on this earth. I don't care. You can talk about slavery in Egypt. You can talk about the slave trade, the human trafficking, all that stuff you want to talk about, and all of it is true. But your dear America has more slaves than any other nation on this earth, by far. So how free is free? And what's the price of freedom? I guess enslavement. How interesting. They're free, but they're all in chains. Or at least most of them. Especially the so-called minorities. Because in that, 25% of the world's prisoners, 60% of that 25%, almost 70% of them, are men and women that are melanated. Israelites, for the most part. People who look like you and I, of the 12 tribes. Not the Africans. Us, the so-called Spanish, whatever they want to call it. It's the Hispanics. Talking about you Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, so-called African American. Yeah, you, us. We're their prisoners. Go back and read your 13th Amendment. Matter of fact, hey, I was saying, you come this far, you might as well come the rest of the way. This book. See that book right here? The book of the great American documents, right? Let me take you on a quick little journey here. This is called the Bill of Rights. You can see that. Oh, this is that bird, that Aries bird I talked about, just so you guys know. Look at it. What that like? That's a flag in his hand. Look at it. It's a vulture. And look what the vulture is carrying. Look what it honors. That same flag that flew over America in the slave states. Nothing new there. But come over here. Let's go to what they call their Bill of Rights. See that? Now let's go to the 13th Bill of Rights. This one. Right here where my finger is. Can you see that? I know you can't see it real clear, but try. I'm going to read it to you, so you don't have to worry about it too hard. Right there, the 13th Amendment. This back, we're still on slavery. Check this out, brothers and sisters. Passed by Congress February 1st, 1865, which was supposed to be the Emancipation Proclamation, right? Slavery is supposed to end in 1865. All right? Neither slavery nor involuntary servitude. So for all these people who claim that the Irish were slaves, that's a damn lie. They were indentured service. Not the same thing. They were not bought and sold, and their children and their children's children were not a part of anybody's damn property. They were contract workers, debt slaves. They owed, they had to pay. Except as for punishment of a crime thereof, the party shall have been duly convicted within the United States or those places that are subject to her jurisdiction. So here it says neither slavery nor involuntary servitude. Don't get those two conflated. Excuse me, they're two different things. So all these Edomites who want to talk about, well, we were slaves too. No, you were indentured servants. Not slavery. Now you know. Except for punishment of a crime. That word except for punishment of a crime. So that means slavery does not exist, nor involuntary servitude, except you commit a crime. If you commit a crime and you're convicted of a crime, you are a slave again. America has 1 out of every 4 persons convicted of a crime in her free country, and most of those people are melanated Israelites. So much for the land of the free, the home of the brave now. But then again, I guarantee you, many of you, my brothers and sisters, who just I gave you facts. That don't say I gave you receipts. But it doesn't matter to you because you're still going to go on about it because you feel better about being a part of a system that has for 200, almost 20 years oppressed you and your people and still oppressing your people. There's many people in prisons right now that was enslaved in America at any given time. So if you think slavery ended, it's only because you were being misinformed. I'll say it kindly. But not anymore. Now you know. And if you stay with this channel, whether you like the messenger or not, I promise you one thing, I'm going to bring the information. Because there's a whole lot more to come. Not today. Don't get afraid. But it's here. It's here. And I got their facts to back it up. And I got the ultimate truth to tear it up. Aphrodite, another one of the gods, the sexual god of lust and beauty, goddess. Then you had Hermes. Almost wanted to call him Herpes. But you had Hermes, thief. He's the god of the thieves, the sports, the athletes, travelers, trade, border crossing. He's the god of the underworld. Human trafficking, sex trafficking, that kind of stuff. So all of you who think that this is some kind of separate thing going on that has nothing to do with anything but wicked men, no, all this stuff is tied into their gods. These are real powers doing this stuff. The last one, Dionysus. That's the one of insanity, madness, religious ecstasy, and also acting. The world of entertainment, acting, actors, actress, Disney, all of those things. And we look at it as entertainment. Oh, it's not really serious, brother. It's not like all that. Nah, brother. Am I saying the people who are in those entertainments are demons or whatever? No, I'm just telling you what's behind the veil, what's behind the curtain that they don't even know is real. That adrenaline they feel when they're out on the field and the people start, who that, who that, who that, who that? Whoa, 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 whoa. Whatever they're out there saying, chanting. And then all of a sudden, there's a different energy becomes in the teams, the athletes, the entertainers, the applause, make them cheering, and people, they get worked out. That's why again, back to, as I stated a moment ago, at these heathen concerts. But the people, light your candle, flick your lighter. Everybody, here's all your white, everybody wear your white, we're going to do a whiteout tonight. And everybody thinking, oh, this is so cool. Brothers and sisters, people think they're being entertained, but they're not. They're being seduced. Many of us have been there. Some of us are still there. You're confusing seduction with entertainment. A lot of our sisters and brothers who are altering themselves, they're confusing that with beauty. They feel confusing beauty with seduction. Hallelujah. Man, we've gone a bit here, but I guess it's what y'all wanted us to go. But let's go a little bit further. We're going to go to the book of Judges. Oh, praise Yahuwah. Then again, no, we're not. No, we're not. Y'all willing, tomorrow Shabbat, we'll do the book of Judges, chapter 6 and 7 for Shabbat. And we'll talk about, some, other things in regards to overcoming, understanding Yah's power, what Yah can do with a few. Reminding you, don't hold your head down, sister. Don't hold your head down, brother. I know it seems like everybody is against you. All of us are going through this. Our children, grown and young. I mean, children and adult children. Our children, those who are pre-adolescent. I think I'm saying that right. Adolescents, and those who are adults. They have a lot of us overwhelmed. We're concerned about what's going to happen to them. It's only natural because you love them. And you're asking yourself, how do I get to them? What do I say? And all I would say to you, my brothers and sisters, you're not alone. And quite frankly, the only thing you can say is the truth. And that might hurt. It might permanently damage the relationships you have with them. But it's still, the solution to it is tell them the truth. What you stand for. What you were hoping for them. Why your love so strong for them is that you want them, to repent, to turn back to Yahuwah, to come out of religion. That nobody actually died for their sins. That's just the lie we all were told. It was the heathens' lie. Because that's what their God tells them. Because that's who they serve. You just heard me mention some things about the nature of 12 of them. And I think we'd all agree that Aphrodite, when that said lust, it's talking about homosexuality too. Pedophiles, all of that part of that. Just so you know. Rape, molestation, all of that. All of that's part of that. So that's being ruled by spirits. These are demon spirits ruling that. And they have children who walk around here on this flat earth, buying and selling, encouraging, attacking, seducing, selling, pushing, taking, kidnapping, hiding, burying, using tunnels, what have you, assisting them to do whatever those gods desire from man. And it's all real. And that's why when y'all tell us to come out of this stuff, brothers and sisters, we need to come out of this. Talking about the elect, the ones who Our clemency is because of our obedience. In other words, we have shown ourselves to be worthy of mercy and grace. But let me say this to you again. If the things of this world mean more to you than your soul, then you're not who I'm talking to. You might be, of course you hear my voice, but I'm not expecting you to take this information to heart and use it. I'm not expecting that from you. If I can be bold, Abba Yahuwah is not expecting it from you. I'm talking about those who are rejecting what we're talking about here. But you need to hear it anyway. You know, our book reminded us that 2/3 of our people are not like the other people, and we're different from them in the standpoint that most of those people worship their gods. The Christians worship the Christian gods. The Hindus worship the Hindu gods for the most part. The Asians, all of them, whatever god they are serving, they worship. By the hundreds, if not billions. Again, Christians included. They are obedient. That's why they fill those churches up on the day of the sun or on Saturdays. That's why they're there. They give to those altars. They bring money. They bring resources. They do all of that because they are totally obedient. The only group that hadn't figured that serving your Elohim is important, their word for God, is Israel. We're the only one that's in rebellion, 2/3 of us. They serve their gods perfectly. We're rebellious to ours. As a matter of fact, we kind of see their gods as more desirable, more palatable, tasteful for us than ours. And this is why he has to use words like jealousy. Exodus 20:5? I'm jealous. Many other places too. That's why he has to say words like that. I'm jealous over my people. You hate me. I can't believe how much you hate me. You have rejected me. Therefore, I'm going to reject you and your children. You're broken wedlock with me. You went to whoring with other gods, or the people who served those gods. That's why I told you don't interact with them. Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 2 and 3. And now whatever comes to your imagination, you'll do it. And therefore, I don't claim you anymore. So I'm going to give you over to a reprobated mind. And when you seek me in times of trouble, desolation that's coming, he said, I'm going to laugh at you. I'm going to ignore you. I'm going to reject you. When your life is so bad that you want to take it yourself, he said, I'm not going to let you. I'm going to let you deal with the same consequences as those you served. The same thing that the children of the watchers are going to suffer. He said, I'm going to let you suffer right along with them. I'm talking about taking the pain, the fire, the heat. And what's really sad, many of my brothers and sisters, maybe some of you, doing this and for nothing. All the stuff you're doing is for nothing. All this stuff, altering yourself and serving these gods and rejecting the truth because it doesn't resonate with what you were taught or what you believe, and for your own self you haven't went into the Torah, you haven't been in the Tanakh studying this stuff out. You know that's true. I'm not talking about Bible study in Sunday school where they taught you that Jesus was your Savior and that all men were of the Most High. Lies. You haven't studied it out. And here it is. You have teachers like myself who have and continue to. And we're just turning you to it. We're telling you, hey, get your sword and hammer. We're just turning it to you. Like saying, that way. Huh? Get out of that line. They're gonna slaughter you. That's the death camp line. Get out of there. Over here. And you're looking at us like, what are you talking about? You're like, okay. I'm sorry to disturb you. Sorry. Go ahead, you good. And that's how we feel. That's how we feel. And so your sadness, mothers, fathers, about your children, it's clearly understood. There are some of us who had the very best intentions when it came down to training our children up, even though we may have been in, some form of religion and not in the full knowledge of the truth, but we had the heart for the truth. We did have that. And so we intentionally taught our children about the Creator. We intentionally, read the Bible to them, told them about redemption. We did that with true intentions, only for our children to take offense when they became adults. We never, ever imagined that. I know I didn't. I'm not putting this on all of my children, but I have, one of my sons came to me one day and told me he was an atheist. I couldn't believe him. I told him, no, you're not. And he was in his 20s when he told me that. I said, oh, no, you're not. He said, yes, I am. I said, well, no, you're not. Well, yes, I am. I said, well, no, you're not. And that's how I left it. He's gone now. Y'all took him. Didn't even see 30 years old. Y'all took him. And I can assure you, he will say, Dad was right. I'm not an atheist. At least not anymore. Just think. You hear me talking all the time, reading off. You got these seconds are ticking. Your life is made of seconds, brothers and sisters, not hours, not weeks, not years. And another, what the day is? Friday. Tuesday. I make another year of life. Tuesday coming. And by all indications, I'm supposed to be at that age or right up on that age, I'm not supposed to ever work again. I'm supposed to be at retirement. I don't know what that actually means. I understand its intention, but retiring from what? From me? Uh-oh. Because I never worked for anybody. I had a job, a job, an occupation or career. But I was always working for myself, to what I could do to help others. So how do I retire from that? But in all of that, parallel with it, I was constantly searching and seeking Abba Yahuwah's truth. And that's how he took me through Christianity and brought me to, my true people, my true self, Israel, Israelite, Hebrew. It was a long journey. But because I always kept Abba Yah, if you don't mind my expression here, in my side view mirror, on my side, he never put me in his review mirror, left me behind. So for my ancestors who were praying, talking about why they were here, they ain't doing nothing now. They're in that smooth, cool, dry place, or they're in the other hot place. Depends on how they live their life. Who was God to them? Were they God to themselves? But if they weren't, they're in that smooth, cool, dry place. And I'm a byproduct of it. Their love for Yah. And so it means what? There was hope for me. There's hope for your children too. But at the end of the day, all you can do, brothers and sisters, is give them the truth. Maybe there'll be tears, but Yah will dry up your tears. And we're here too to help. however we can in every little small way. In some cases, maybe bigger ways, depending on what you need and what we can give. But all 1/3 Israel, the elect of Israel, will be able to count on each other. It's a prerequisite. You can't get in if you don't meet that description. If you're selfish, you can't come in. If you believe it's all about you and just about you and whatever you want it to be about, then you're not coming in. I can tell you that firsthand. You have to have a heart to serve, a heart to submit, to obey. It's better to obey. Obedience. You know what that word means? Obedience. Obedience means you don't get to have it your way. You go to the book and you go before Yah. You ask him, what direction to take. And then you come back to the book to validate that it was Yah who was talking to you. And then you execute. In other words, you do what it is you put on your heart to do. And if that's nothing, you're in trouble. Because he's not asleep. Even he shared with us that a living dog was better than a dead lion. So if you ain't hearing anything, you're in trouble. If the voice is telling you do nothing, you're in trouble. That's not Yah's voice. And don't conflate doing nothing with patience. Patience means I'm just getting myself together so when he tells me to go, I'm ready to move on a dime or at the whistle. But when I say doing nothing, I mean just sitting around doing absolutely nothing, just saying I'm just going to wait and see. Well, you will see, but you're not going to like what you see. For those who may be doing that, okay? But for the righteous, those of you who are out there putting in the work every day, getting yourself ready for the time to come, I'm talking to you. Your work, your labor is not in vain. And get ready. You're going to start to see fruition. But do not allow yourself to get caught up in complacency. Do not confuse a plan or good intentions with a plan. Good intentions are nothing but just good intentions. You don't win with that. You have to be doing something. As a corporate executive for almost 40 years of my life, we made sure we told people all the time, not confuse activity for productivity. Don't confuse activity for results. Because we had many people that were doing a whole lot of nothingness. Don't confuse activity with results. Results are results. Results are what you got done. What did you do? Did you do it? Did you execute it? Is it done? Or are you just running around like a little hamster, on the little, spinning wheel? Ever knowing but never able to come to the knowledge of the truth. Isn't that how that saying goes? There's a way that seems right to a man, as Solomon said. Man think he's doing something, but he or she is doing absolutely nothing. And they got years to look behind themselves to prove it, to validate it. But you change. Don't, I'm telling you, that's not what Yah is talking about when he's talking about those of us who are called out, set apart, be ready to move and act. We go before Abba Yah, we seek his wisdom, we seek his understanding, and then we seek affirmation, confirmation. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Gideon is a classic example of how Abba Yah will work with an obedient servant. Because obedient, he got validation, but guess what? He got off his ass and started doing something. And it didn't take a whole lot of anything to get it done. It just took obedience and focus and trust. All right, brothers and sisters. For those of you up for the Zoom, who are part of the Zoom calls, that's going to be tonight, 8 o'clock Eastern time. So if you're Central time, that's 7 o'clock. So look forward to seeing you on the call. It's the same number from last week. So if you just go in and program that, you ought to be able to jump right in. Some of us are going to be on a little early. So We're going to have, some good conversation. Y'all know how we do. We're just going to chop it up, see what y'all's telling us to talk about, what's happening on this earth. Okay? So that's tonight. And again, for those, who don't know, again, we do a Bible study every Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Central Time. You all are welcome. And what else? Tomorrow, y'all willing, we'll discuss Gideon's plight. And hopefully that'll be an encouraging message or lesson, at least one to help us learn better, understand. And then last but not least, I just want to thank all of those who give us, who donate or who are blessing me, to allow me to be able to do the work that I'm doing without the stress of trying to figure out how I'm going to pay my bills. So I want you to know that you're important, and I do appreciate, your giving, and I hope that y'all continue to put this on your heart to give. It's important. Okay? And we have a P.O. box. You know about that. You can find that, in the About page. And you can also find the Cash App information, too, if y'all puts upon your heart to do so. You're not obligated to do it. If I don't, definitely I'm not going to stop if you do or don't. But I just want you to know, it's appreciated when you do. Okay? It's going to a good cause. That being said, brothers and sisters, Yahuwah Shalom, and keep your head up. We're almost there. It's almost, it's bad. We're almost home. All right. Final stretch. We're in the red zone. Football terminology. All right. Shalom.